What were you saying?
I have a lot to talk about.
Do you now?
No, not at all, actually.
Yeah, I would imagine the news has been kind of light, being that it's New Year's, like literally New Year's Day that we're recording this.
Well, what are your New Year's resolutions in regards to D&D?
Uh, hmm, that's an interesting question. I never thought about any. Uh,
Uh-huh.
what about you? Have you thought about any?
I gotta get my modules out. I gotta get out of this little slump that I'm in creatively and just write some stuff. And
Yes.
it's kind of discouraging because like I have like four really good ideas that I've kind of thought through and um really want to get down on paper. I also have the Owl campaign that I got like two chapters done and kind of just floundered on that.
Yeah.
And it, it's not like the capability's not there. It just I'm just not good at following through on projects, much like most people in the
Yeah.
creative nerd
Yeah.
community.
Have you met me? You are way more into following through than I am.
Yeah. Someone posted a picture on Facebook, one of our friends that we follow, and it says, I think I'm paraphrasing as there was a picture they posted and it said, my 2023 resolutions is to complete the projects that I that I was working on in 2022 that I planned or bought materials for in 2021 that I planned out in 2020 that I started in 2019.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's pretty much us. That's me right there.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's very accurate. I've started throwing things away as it's the new year, and usually around New Year, I'll start just cleaning out old stuff that I don't need. I'm coming across things that I bought like 6 years ago that I've never even touched. I'm like, oh god, so many good ideas that will never come to fruition because, well, life is busy, and honestly, I get distracted. I get distracted very easily.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just like it was bad timing for a lot of things, and just the day to day grind and everything. It's like, oh, you always think like, if this could be better, then I could do this. And
Mhm.
then even when that thing becomes better, you still don't do that. And I think that's only solved through endless discipline, training, and therapy.
Yeah, and people with ADHD like myself, I don't know that there's really any good methods of sitting down and you know getting things done. It's not that there aren't, because obviously there are. I did make it through school. I've made it through college, but it's always a it has to be done. You
Yeah,
have no options. You have no choice. And for things like a hobby, I always have an option. I always have a choice of not doing it. So,
right.
like
Yeah,
work, yeah, yeah, like work and school. Okay, I got a deadline. It's got to get done. But
right.
outside of that,
I have a child. She has to stay alive. Huh.
yeah, exactly.
Feed the baby. Feed the baby. Feed the baby.
Yep.
uh, but
But yeah,
I'm looking forward to this year. Last year was kind of just 2022 sucked. It was the
everyone.
worst.
I keep seeing memes about about looking forward to 2023 because of how terrible 2022 was, and I'm maybe for other people. For me, 2022 is great. Like,
It was just you. It was just you. The one random person in their basement in Virginia or Alabama had a good year.
yeah, like I had a great time last year. It's way better than 2020 or 2021. And honestly, it's better than a lot of years I had before that.
I mean, it's fair. It definitely was better than the previous years, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It was
Hopefully,
still
I
yeah,
personally, I hope that 2023 is better for everybody, because that just means it's better for everybody.
yeah. So getting back to my original question, what D&D resolutions do you have? For me, it's completing some modules. What's yours?
Yeah, truthfully, I don't know that I have any well, I don't have any resolutions per se, but I have things that I absolutely am looking forward to doing. So we'll call that the resolutions.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'm going to be running the second edition game here, probably starting it in 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Actually, no, I have a New Year's resolution now that I think about it, and that was actually one of the topics I wanted to discuss,
Mhm.
and it just occurred to me. So, have you heard of this thing called Dungeon 23?
No. What is Dungeon 23?
So I think I saw a YouTube video of it. Who God was it? Dungeon Craft maybe, or I don't remember the other dude that I've been watching lately. So Dungeon 23 is this idea that in 2023, every day you create a single room for a dungeon. You
Okay.
I have already purchased myself a what do they call these? The grid notepad and then a separate notebook to go with this. So on the notepad, I can draw the dungeon room, and then in the
Mhm.
notepad, I can write out exactly what it is. And if you do this every single day, that means you're going to, at the end of the year, you have an entire year's worth of a dungeon that you can just easily put together and run at any point if you want. I
That
already
sounds
know
neat.
I love the idea. And honestly, if you're only doing one a day, that's not that hard. Now, personally,
No.
I know myself well enough to know I will not do one a day. So I'm just shooting for 7 a week. And that I'm much more likely to do that because then I can just sit down one day and do, you know, 3 or 7 or however many out of that I want to do.
Right, but the idea is to do it daily because you want to do it daily. It sets a discipline for working daily on a project. Like people who want to write books,
Yeah.
the best way to get into rolling into writing books is to write every single day. That's what how artists. I know Scott Kurtz is a big part of it. I know Mike Krahulik has said this a number of times. You want to get good at drawing, you got to draw every day,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
that's the mindset that they have. And that's what I think. That's what it's trying to
Yeah, it is.
impart with that is just do it every day, which is really interesting. I may we could probably do it and see how far we both get together and then who fails first.
Oh, it'll be me that fails first. I mean,
Uh,
I'm most of the way through the first day, and I haven't touched these notebooks.
yeah, but we could very easily, when this podcast is done, spend 15 minutes and make a dungeon room up.
Yeah. Now that being said, I already know the first dungeon room. Like it's already been in my head for a few days. So
Okay,
like I'm not going to talk about it because I will end up using it in the second edition game that I'm going to run. But
we'll talk about it and then just do the complete different one.
no,
Yeah,
no, that's not how this works.
yeah, it is.
No,
And then they die horribly because they think, "Oh, I'm going to cheat because I was listening to the podcast," and then all of a sudden, like, "Aha!" And you do something completely different, and they die.
no, but and
Oh,
if you've never run old dungeons or anything, like it doesn't even the rooms don't all have to have monsters, they don't have to all have encounters. They just have to have a room with something in it and a description of the room effectively. And
okay.
for people who run dungeons, like that's what you need. The room is 20 by 30. There's a handful of broken chairs around a table that's got a scattering of old food on it. Off in the corner, there's a small chest sitting there with an old tapestry hanging above it. And then at that point, I'd write out what the tapestry description is. And boom, room. Very simple. And then in the notes, obviously, you put what is inside the chest, or if it's a mimic.
Yeah, I gotta talk about that. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I honestly, I think we should just do it and see how far you both get. And
I mean,
like I said,
I will do this. It will not be daily.
okay,
100%. I will do this because I have to because I'm running a second edition dungeon game. So
okay,
I have to have dungeons.
okay.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So that's my New Year's resolution is to at least have 7 dungeon rooms done per week. And I probably will write down the first one tonight now that we've sat here and talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah,
So yeah, go buy yourself a well, I know you'll just do it all on the damn computer, which is not nearly as fun or whatever. But
yeah. Age yourself a little bit more there, boy.
well, some of us don't even play with Look, when I play in person. I don't have the laptop. I do have a tablet that I use for certain things, but that's about it.
You got a laptop there, Jimmy. How dare you use that
Yeah.
technology?
Everybody has their own process, and there is no right or wrong in the process. You know this as well as anybody.
Oh,
Like,
there is wrong. Not doing it. That's the wrong.
yeah, that's as long as you go through the process, there's no right or wrong. If you want to do it on a tablet, that's fine. If you want to do it on your phone, that's fine. If you want to do it in notebooks like I do, that's fine. If you want to get your desktop or your laptop, or hell, if you want to scribble it on the back of your neighbor, I don't care. Just do it. I mean, as long as your neighbor's cool with it.
Scribble it on the back of your neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you'd have to probably tattoo it, I think. If you just scribbled it, it'd wash off, assuming they actually shower or sweat.
You have very weird neighbors.
Well, I live in rural Alabama. What do you expect?
Not to go around and do random tattooings on people.
I said as long as they're okay with it. So anyway, Dungeon 23. I like this idea, and I think honestly, every dungeon master could use this. It's a good process.
Yeah. Establish discipline. D&D 23.
Yep, Dungeon 23. So anyway, I guess we'll move on from that. I spent a lot of my weekend playing Dungeons and Dragons Trivial Pursuit.
We actually played it this weekend as well too.
Okay, this is
Oh
going to be
my
awesome.
god. Are the questions insanely hard
Okay,
or insanely easy?
uh, yes and no. So we did find a few of them that are sort of edition based. They would say one thing that is true in fifth edition, but they are not true in other editions. We did find a couple of those along the way.
We ran into that too, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so there were, oh geez, I had it on my phone. I should have pulled this up sooner. But yeah, I actually took a picture of some of the cards so we can actually play a little Trivial Pursuit on here if you want.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
So the categories they have were magic and miscellany, history, monsters, dungeons and adventures, characters, and cosmology. So So
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun.
which ones of those categories were you actually good at? So magic and
Good at?
miscellany, yeah, magic, miscellany, history, monsters, dungeons and adventures, characters, and cosmology.
Um, the cosmology and whatever the yellow one was,
That was
the
history.
history. Those were the two hardest categories.
Oh no,
Um,
not even. We did find that history and cosmology was 50-50 for my group. History was definitely hard because there were a lot of questions about fucking 1977, you know, where did TSR run their first convention at? Shit like that.
yeah, that's so we those were
Dungeons and Adventures was a fucking nightmare for me.
so Dungeons and Adventures. What was really bad? What I was gonna say was is that um the yellow and the purple, the cosmology and the history were the two hardest ones because they required very specific detail, and it seemed to basically the cosmology questions in particular were sometimes they were fifth edition based, and
Mhm.
sometimes they were third edition based. So
They are all fifth edition based, but fifth edition doesn't have anything on the cosmology hardly.
right, yeah, and it's all been reset. There is no cosmology in fifth edition. It's just the astral sea, the wild space, and then the bubbles.
Yeah, they
So
don't.
all the
Well,
planes are different things. So like I guess they're still named, but they're not named in any official source book
no,
because
no,
the
no, no, no,
Planescape
no,
book doesn't come out until next year or
no.
this year.
You're incorrect. They are in the Dungeon Master's Guide. All of those planes are named. They are, if I recall correctly, they are titled the Inner and Outer Planes. But they don't have the Great Wheel anymore like they used to. They don't have the. There's nothing showing you the actual layout of the cosmology, and everything that you know about the planes was either in some campaign module that they released, or it's in that like one paragraph blurb in the DM's guide they wrote about every one of them,
Yeah.
which is almost
And
nothing.
and then the history questions were stupid. Like it's like, okay, what year did Dungeons and Dragons come out? 1974. Okay, I get that because I'm a fan of the thing, and I played Trivial Pursuit, and I thought it was 1971. Turns out that's chainmail, not D&D.
Yeah.
But anyways, so like that's a basic question. Who runs the fan magazine out of
Yep. Yep.
freaking England? What's
Yeah.
his name? And oh, I don't even remember what the name of the magazine was. I don't know. Nobody knows that. I guarantee you, nobody knows that but that man.
It's not going to be nobody, but everybody who does know it played chainmail or first edition.
So that's the issue we ran into. It's just it was the questions were way too difficult.
Some of
We
them.
had to
Yeah.
we had to kind of get around and just get lucky and get an easy one. Because I played it with me and my wife, two people that from Adventures League, and Dimitri, who's on my stream. Well, Chandler's also on my stream. He's from Adventure League. Dimitri, who's on my stream, and his wife. His wife knows nothing about D&D at
Oh
all.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
My wife knows a lot of stuff about everything Dwit's wording, the companions, and R.A. Salvatore wrote because she read all the books.
Yeah. And there are a few RA Salvatore questions in there.
Tons. And then Chandler, they know a little bit about D&D because they play D&D. That's about it. So what ended up happening is like pretty much like if Dimitri, who has this encyclopedic knowledge of D&D facts, okay, if he didn't know the answer to it, it was too obscure for anyone to know. All right, and like he was nailing some of the questions about like what component is used to cast hold person.
Yeah.
Like
The components one killed us because we don't use them
yeah,
unless there's a
nobody
gold
uses components in
unless
fifth
there's a
edition.
gold cost associated with it. I don't require my players to have it, and
Right.
pretty much most DMs are that way.
So he stumbled with that, but he was able to actually get a good number of those because they kind of made sense sometimes. And I
Yeah,
was also able to kind of just guess at a few.
some of them are actually kind of funny, and I never realized it, but they're kind of based off of puns. Like some of the illusion ones, when it comes to the material components, uh, I want to say it was like major illusion. What's one of the required components for that? And it's actually a piece of wool. And I was like, why or fleece? And I'm like, why the fuck would it be a piece of fleece? Because you're pulling the wool over somebody's eyes.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
get that. That's neat.
that apparently is a constant theme in those. The gust of wind, and this one we had it. Gust of wind. The component is a legume, aka a bean. Exactly.
That's cute.
Exactly.
All right, so I didn't know that, but that's kind of interesting. I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. What I did find with these, I was okay at the cosmology, is pretty good at the monsters, okay at the history, the magic and miscellany, same thing. Dungeons and Adventures, terrible at because I don't run
Yeah.
modules.
Well,
And
that was pretty much a dead one for us too because we didn't have none of us at the table had the knowledge of any module name that wasn't like third or better. And
yeah,
there were none of the questions came out were fourth edition based, by the way. None
yeah,
at
I'm
all.
aware. Yeah, I think I think we did come across one question that was fourth, but it also was relevant for fifth. So,
Yeah.
uh,
And so I those were frustrating. And especially it's like, oh, okay, we need to know what module this was. Okay, it was like, okay, it's probably a big one, like the pool of radiance. Like we know that one, and that was one of the answers that we got right. Um, but overall, we couldn't
yeah, a lot of the
couldn't do
Dungeons and Adventures one though were the 5e stuff, which I've never played. I don't
really.
know.
Every
Yeah,
single one was for us was second edition.
really? Okay, because
Yep, second
there
and
were
first.
there were a ton of history ones that were, and there were some Dungeons and Adventures ones that were also first, second edition stuff. But there were a ton of those Dungeon Adventure questions that were also 5e, which I still didn't know them. I didn't know them if they're first, second, third, fourth, or fifth edition because I didn't fucking play them.
I think the only dungeon adventure question we got, that was 5th edition, is what symbol is below the ampersand on the Tomb of Annihilation spine?
Ah, nice.
That
Um,
was the only question that I remember that was 5th edition. What's the answer?
fuck, I don't know. A dragon, I think. Well, like for 5th edition, the TSR symbol is an ampersand dragon.
No, no. So what is below that on the spine of the book for
Mm.
Tomb of Annihilation?
Oh, I have no idea. I've never played Tomb of Annihilation.
Context clues. What do you think it is?
I A tomb?
No, it's the green devil face
Okay, why?
from Tomb of Horrors, because it's also in Tomb of Annihilation.
Okay, I've never played any of them.
Well, I
So
mean, I thought you would have put two and two. Never mind.
if I've never played them, I don't know the first thing about them. How would I know?
It's on the spine of the book. You can just look and see.
I don't.
There,
I
there it
don't.
is.
I don't own the book.
Well, you should. It's a good book. It's a great module.
No, I don't care about modules. That's been the problem with 5e for me for a while. But anyway, I did find that characters, which was the blue one, I was fantastic at that one.
Yeah,
Because I fucking read every single novel in the '90s and just didn't realize it.
yeah. I relied on my wife for all those answers.
Yeah,
Every single one of those.
she would have known a lot of them.
She did. She absolutely did. Like if she didn't, she kicked herself for not remembering it. There was one question was like, "What was so and so's favorite weapons?" She was good with martial arts, but what was her favorite weapons? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I have no idea who this fucking character is.
Oh,
Why is this even a question in the stupid book?
See, I didn't even get that question, but it's probably from the Cleric Quintet because there was a female monk that ran around with Catterley.
Yes,
Uh,
that is
yeah,
actually
yeah,
that's
her.
what
I think her name was Danica, and she probably would have been proficient with a staff, if I remember right.
that's the answer that everyone said is the quarterstaff.
Yeah.
That's what we guessed. Turns out that's not the right answer.
Okay. I have not read those books in over 20
The
years.
answer is daggers.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
And then Shelly was like, "Shoot, you're right, because she got this dagger named this Black Fang or some shit." I'm like, "Come on, sweetie, you gotta play ball here." Get the question right.
Yep. Gotta
So
do better.
um, and then there were questions like, "What ability handles vitality, uh, hit points, and like
Yeah.
being healthy?" Like,
Oh, you mean Constitution?
you mean Constitution, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Like, well,
So I actually have 10 of the questions here in front of me. Do you want me to just ask them?
sure.
That way everybody can hear the exact wordings on some of these. All right, for the green question, which was magic and miscellany, what material component is required to cast the water breathing spell?
I didn't get that one. I have no idea.
Uh, I, w-
Probably a piece of coral or like a frog's tongue.
at least you're on the right track, but no, it's a short reed or piece of straw, which is the fucking piece of straw. Thinking about that, you're just laying on your back, breathing from underwater like they used to do in those fucking 1980s karate movies with ninjas and shit.
Yeah.
Which one of this is for history? Which one of the following common spells did not appear in 1974 D&D? Light, sleep, shield, or hold portal?
Mm,
I have a solid guess, but I truthfully I don't know.
what were the options again?
Light, sleep, shield, or hold portal?
Probably shield.
You are correct, and that is also what I was thinking.
Because like light's always been in there. I think sleep's always been in there. And then hold portal just seems like
It,
something.
it's old and esoteric.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
And shield something like they would add later so wizards stop getting gibbed by everything.
Yeah, they probably added shield so wizards could stop killing every other wizard instantly with fucking magic missile.
Probably, yeah. Like I said, yeah. It's my
Uh,
guess.
all right. So for monsters, what is the breath weapon of a dragon turtle? I know you'll know this one.
It's lightning, right?
Is that your final answer?
It's lightning something.
No, it's a steam breath.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking of the ancient dragon turtle. And he
Yeah,
has that not he has the when
I
he
think they have like two, I think, or something.
yeah. We got one was like what is the what are the breath what breath weapon
Oh shit! I found
what
a.
two breath weapons does a brass dragon have?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Lightning and fire, I think.
Nope.
No. Oh wait, no, it's lightning and the gas.
Nope.
All right, I don't know.
It
So that's
was
a
fire and sleep.
oh, okay. I had it mixed up. No lightning. It's fire and the breath weapon
Yeah.
or the gas weapon. Um, I found a fourth edition question for you.
Okay.
What two?
Nuclear Veil.
Oh, and that may be the answer. What 2008 module coded H1 was the first official product published by Wizards of the Coast for fourth edition D&D?
See, these are the ones that bug me, is because like all the stupid things are very specific,
Yeah,
and
that's
it,
very specific.
like I know there's someone out there going, well, you didn't say I1 or I3, the Tomb of Sargerius, so you got the question
Brr.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not
Um.
play with the assholes like that. Like there were a couple of them where we were not exactly right on the name, but we all still just gave it to us because we
Yeah.
understood we
Yeah.
were fucking close enough.
The H1.
H1, it was the first module and official product published by WotC for fourth edition.
See that's so iffy. Because I don't know when the official start is. I think the first module, like the first big thing they want you to play, is to keep on the Shadowfell.
That is correct.
And that okay, so that would have been my guess.
Uh,
I don't know if it's called H1.
it
It should
is,
be
yeah,
K1 for keep.
it should, but it's coded H1. It came with a quick start rules pamphlet. So,
Yeah,
all right.
it's actually a really good module, and it actually sets up like the Cult of Orcus and
Mhm.
stuff. There
Yes,
because of the main antagonist. And then we talked about this like
we
probably
have. Yeah, yeah.
last year. Yeah.
Yep.
But they had the individual packets, so, like, once you played through the first 3, H1, H2, and H3 in this case, and you stopped the cult, you kinda branched off wherever you wanted. And then it all kind of came back around near the very end where you had to go fight Orcus at level 30, so
Yeah. Which I
worked
love.
pretty
I mean, that's awesome, and I wish they would release packet modules like that instead of these campaign modules that they're calling campaigns that are not actually campaigns. They're just fucking giant
yeah.
modules. But anyway, uh, so for characters, what was the alignment of Mordenkainen, the legendary wizard from the world of Greyhawk? I don't mind this one because you have at least a 1 in 9 chance of getting it right,
It was
assuming you
always
know.
I the 'cause all the line questions we have are just good, neutral, or evil.
Well, this one wants the specific. So you have a 1 in 9 chance. What was
Neutral, good?
the answer is neutral.
Just neutral, neutral? Okay.
Just yep, pure neutral. All right. So this one is for cosmology. And which layer of the abyss is a savage wilderness of ocean and jungle where Demogorgon reigns from two skull top towers?
That would be the bottom one of the abyss. So
But what's it called?
9? I have no fucking idea what it's called.
Well, the
Um,
abyss. No, no, you're thinking of hell. Hell has 9 layers. The abyss does not. The abyss is endless.
okay. Honestly, I don't
Yeah.
know.
And see, yeah, the only way you would know this answer is if you had really run Demogorgon stuff, or no, like if you put. They do have. I don't remember. I think it's the Mordenkainen's book that he's actually in, where they have his stats, and they would have mentioned this. But it's kind of a fucking rare esoteric question. The answer is the gaping maw.
Okay. I think you have to go there in the Out of the Abyss module.
Yeah, yeah, okay, but maybe yeah, that might be it too. They probably had it in a module as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'll do the last 6 that we had. So for magic and miscellany, in Dragonlance, the disc of Miskashal, which
Okay,
preserve.
you stop right here. Every single Dragonlance question that was asked, or Eberron question, or Darkstorm question, we
Yeah,
just skipped over because like we could barely get the Faerun questions right, and you're gonna ask me something about Dragonlance, something that
yep,
no one at the table has played. You can just f off. I got one Dragonlance question right the entire time,
yeah,
and that was, "What is the small little people that run around and steal shit?" I was like, "Oh, it's the Kender." And
yep,
there's like, "Yay, we got that one right." Okay, no more Dragonlance questions. And then once we made that rule at the table and we played that shit, guess what we started getting then?
a lot more questions, right?
Critical role questions.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
what the
yep, yeah.
I was so mad.
Nearly every critical role question we had, we just failed it. Dragonlance questions, I was the only one at the table who'd get them, and I got 70, 80% of them right. Uh, Eberron, I think we answered 2 correctly, 2 or 3. Like, none of us really know Eberron. Dark Sun I was really good at, but there's not a lot of Dark Sun questions that we came across.
We
Uh,
got so many Dark Sun questions. Oh my god.
really?
Like
We had a few. I like one about the artist, a couple of character names that I knew. Um, uh, there's one about basically a fighter class, fighter subclass from the game. But yeah,
there were a couple of those that we asked and we kind of knew. Like I think we had one question of like what there was one question that was something along the lines of like who in Dark Sun is would be allied with the land. And we're like, okay,
sure, yeah,
it's a pretty
yeah.
obvious answer. It's Druid or Ranger, so pick one. And he's
That's
like, Druid? Yeah.
the answer probably would have been preserver.
I don't remember. And
Yep.
then there was like one question was like, who's the Defiler in Dark Sun? Or what class is the Defiler? Like, oh, okay, well that's easy. That's the that's the
Yeah.
wizards.
Yeah, and that is correct from Dark Sun. That is the wizards. Wizards get 2 choices. They can be preservers or defilers.
Yeah.
Uh, so anyway, in Dragonlance, the Disc of Mistral, which preserved lore about the gods of light, comprised 160 circular plates of what substance? The answer is platinum,
No.
which I know you wouldn't have known. Uh,
No.
if you ever, that one's not even that rare of a Dragonlance question. That's literally brought up in like the first or second book, but it's very common lore knowledge.
Mm.
What was the name of the cartoon wizard who served as TSR's brand ambassador in the early 1980s? This one,
Oh,
I have never fucking heard of this one because I remember getting this question last night and none of us knew.
I thought
Yeah,
he just I thought his name was just the Dungeon Master.
no, no, it has nothing to do with the cartoon. It's a what was the name of the cartoon wizard who served as TSR's brand ambassador in the early 1980s?
Oh.
The answer is Morley.
Huh.
We didn't look it up. I'm curious if maybe that is the dungeon master's name.
I mean, look.
Yeah, I'm looking this up right now. No, no, it doesn't seem to be Morley the wizard. Yeah, he's this goofy. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, cartoon. Not like cartoon as in you watch a cartoon, but cartoon as in you read a cartoon.
Oh.
That yeah, okay. That answers so much right there from looking him up. All right.
Uh, there was one question that I saw on a card that I didn't get a chance to ask the table because we didn't, the card that wasn't the color that was picked and stuff. It was, what is the abbreviation for Acquisitions Incorporated?
I'm sure you would know that. I think it's just is it ACQ?
No, it's AC Inc.
I can't. Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then there were other questions too that we had, like, what was in Critical Role? What was the name of the group before they were Machina?
I didn't know they had a name before Vox Machina.
Yeah,
I know
I
the
didn't
mighty.
know.
I know the Mighty Nine, but the
That's
second.
the current one.
Yeah. That's the no. They're done with that one too. That was the second season.
Okay. Well, whatever. So it was shit. It was
Oh,
like
that's
something.
right. It was. Yeah. 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 I don't remember what the acronym stood for, but yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
all right.
I don't know, man.
Let me ask these last four. I want to that way everybody who's listening can hear them and be like, I don't know. You encounter two fairy dragons. One is red, one is blue. Which one is older? And see, at least that's a 50-50 chance of getting it.
Huh. Something new about fairy dragons, I guess. Um, Probably the red one.
Okay, the answer is blue. Fairy dragons are
Oh.
born red and progress through the colors of the rainbow as they age.
Oh, that makes sense. That's really cute.
Yeah,
Oh,
I like that
that's
question.
adorable.
All right,
Fairy dragons are awesome.
what 2013 module? Hey, this would be fourth edition. What 2013 module released as an exclusive for Gen Con that summer contained an extensive preview of the fifth edition system.
Shit.
Nope, that was the name of the mighty
No.
or
I think it's an Icewind Dale one. I can't remember the exact name of the module, even though I should, because it's what I based my thing off of. The
The
crystal. Well, yeah, just say it. I'll tell
yeah,
you if I'm thinking of the right one or not.
the answer is Ghost of Dragonspear Castle.
No, I wasn't thinking of the right one then.
Okay.
There was a couple because there was. Except I don't know what was released at Gen Con, but the one I'm thinking of in Icewind Dale. Also, there was one that was um, the D&D Next playtest took
Right.
place at Daggerhead. Um, that one was also because I don't know what was released at Gen Con, but I know there were a
Yeah.
couple. You know.
Okay. Got it. I'm gonna ask this. There are two more questions, and unfortunately, when I took the photo of the answers, it's got fucking light, so I can't actually read the last answer. So I'm just gonna ask this next question. It's on characters about Dragonlance, and then
Mm,
we'll be done with this. In Dragonlance, what color was the dragon Kissanth, who hoarded the disc of Miskashal in her lair under Zaxaroth? I mean, it's you got a reasonable chance of getting it. What color was the
pro-
dragon?
probably not because they all seem to be trick questions.
No, this one wasn't. There's yeah,
Red.
yeah. The answer was black, but like
What?
you know nothing of Dragonlance, so there's no way of you getting that. Like that's literally the first series of books where that dragon, because they go after the disc of Miskashal. That's the first artifact thing they start looking for in those series. The last question, which I can't see the answer for, was which layer of the abyss is a never-ending dungeon ruled by Baphomet from an enormous ziggurat of crooked and confusing hallways?
I don't know.
And I don't either. I can't see the answer. Sorry, guys.
Layers of the abyss. Let's see
But
what
if
Google
yeah, if
knows.
you really want to look it up, just look up where does Baphomet rule? What layer of the abyss?
So the abyss is the plane of infinite portals. It starts off as Styx. The great
Okay,
mothers.
the answer is the endless maze.
Okay, well, the picture that I'm looking at, Chief, uh, shows Styx as a top layer, which makes no sense. That would just
Well, no, Styx doesn't. It's not a proper layer. It literally runs through all of the planes.
okay. Then why does it also run through Avernus then?
It runs through all of the plane. It runs through fucking everything
Okay.
practically.
Well, below that, it has the great mothers at the sixth layer. Gazaret is the 45th to 47th layer. Lolth is the 66th layer, which one of the question that was one of the questions we had.
Okay, I
The
never got that one.
Demogorgon is the 88th layer. Thanatos is the 113th layer. Jubilex is the 222nd layer. Huh.
We did have a Jubilex question that
Yeah.
I almost blanked on it. Like I knew the answer, and my brain was like, I don't remember.
Yeah, we had it, and I didn't get to hear the question. I just came back to basically Dimitri rereading the question in a different way for the player because it was Chandler. He didn't know anything about this. He's like, if I said, "Who, what is there's some anime out there about like my teenage life as a slime or some shit. If
Yeah,
you were the main hero of my teenage life as a slime and you were a demon, what demon would you be?" They just kind of redid the question. The answer was still Jubilex, but we didn't know.
yeah.
I mean, that's what I love about D&D too, is that there's just endless lore, and it's
Oh
just
yeah,
this huge amount of stuff, and it's all there ripe for the picking and stuff like that. And you can kind of do whatever you want with it. And then it makes you feel so shitty when they just kind of like keep dropping the ball over and over and over again with these just uninspired modules.
yep. So speaking of endless lore, because Dungeons and Dragons is old. It's been around a long time, and not even outside of the game, there is just crazy stories and lore and history that I'm really interested in a lot of that.
Mhm.
And one of the questions that we came across last night sent me down a rabbit hole, as as
Okay.
things do. And it was about a module called Palace of the Silver Princess, and I had never heard this. And it was effectively the question was something along the lines of what module from like 1980 was basically banned and then rewritten. Like it was thrown away, destroyed, and then rewritten after going to production.
Hmm.
And the Palace of the Silver Princess was the first module for Dungeons and Dragons written by a woman, and she wrote this module, and then they sent it to production, and when production came back, the artist had effectively taken a monster that she created for it and had like done his own thing with them and put the heads of TSR staffers and management on the ends of like its tentacles as caricatures, which is absolutely not what she wanted. Uh,
Okay.
so the thing shows up after getting 5 to 10,000 copies of this thing printed, and she's like, "This is not okay." And what finally management got wind of it, and they started looking over it, and it took them a few days apparently to figure it out whether they what they wanted to do with it, but they ended up destroying the vast majority of this already printed product. Uh,
Wow.
there was like they don't know the exact number, but somewhere between 5 to 10,000 that were printed. There are still some copies of the original out there. They didn't destroy all of them. Like people already had copies that worked there, got to keep them and stuff. So if you ever find the orange cover for Palace of the Silver Princess, it's probably worth a lot of money.
Huh.
They ended up redoing the module and released it with a green cover shortly after. So and that one's actually pretty easy to find.
That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I love stories like this. Like, what the hell? I don't know whatever happened to the artist. They probably fired him or something, but maybe not.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Um. So when we decided to play Trivial Pursuit, it just kind of came across, and after that we played Cards Against Humanity. But I had to tell the story, and
Hey, so did we.
uh, so there's a story that I was told by my family. My family is a very large, old school Christian family. So there's like 8 kids over the span of like 20 years. Like my father was out of college when the last child was born, kind of
Mm,
thing.
yeah,
And so they had a younger sister, my aunt Jude, and the story goes is that she was tired of losing the game of Trivial Pursuit with her family. So my family, being psychotic geniuses that they are, she decides to memorize the answer to every single question in the version of Trivial Pursuit that they had,
yeah,
and that she did, and now she knows all the answers to Trivial Pursuit.
yeah.
And
For that year, for that specific release.
right, but that's the only version that I had when I was a kid too.
Yeah, yeah.
So uh, the funny part was is that we actually got to play Trivial Pursuit with her, and she knew all the answers. Like this is what I was like. I was in college. And I was just like visiting her in Canada with my father and my uncle, and we played with her. She knew all the answers, and like I kind of wanted to see if it was true. That's kind of why I suggested playing the game. Plus, it was like the only game in the cabin,
Mhm.
so they were like, "Oh, she's just gonna win because she knows all the answers." Brr. Well, she freaking did.
Uh,
So
apparently she did. Yeah, that's actually ridiculously funny. I know there's going to be some nerd that does that with this D&D one. It will happen.
I
Um,
guarantee you, I'm doing it. I'm gonna sit down and read all the answers to the questions.
that
Not that
nerd
I
is
want to
you.
win the. No, I don't want to win the game, but it's like there's a lot of knowledge in there that
There is, yeah.
is really good.
Yeah,
Like
one
all,
of the things I did when I got home was I got my player's handbook out for 5e and started looking at all of the spell components for spells.
yeah,
Just because
all those questions are great.
I did so terribly on those. I was like, I could do better.
So, what's the material component that you need for a hold person and hold monster?
I don't know.
Come on,
I
you
haven't
can figure it out.
uh probably a rope.
That's what I was thinking, but it's not.
What is it?
It's a bit of straight iron,
Okay,
like a bar of iron.
like manacles. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did find that the vast majority of them actually make sense. Like, even if you're not sure, you could kind of throw out a possible answer. Like, I didn't know that one, but rope, like, that's a possible answer.
Yeah, because I was kind of like a bit of string. She's like, no, like a piece of chain closer. We just kind of abandoned the idea of like you get multiple chances to answer these questions.
Yeah, yeah. That we did the is that your final answer? We like you get one shot at this. Hopefully you get it right. Yeah, Trivial Pursuit, man. Like I don't normally care too much for Trivial Pursuit, but Trivial Pursuits where I really love the stuff. Marvel, Star Wars, D&D, things like that. I'm all in. Let's do it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun playing it. I want to do it again, but the problem is like you just need so much weird knowledge for it. You can't really just play it with a group unless you have somebody that's also sat down and kind of memorized the questions. It's going to be hard to play that
It
or
has
suggest
it.
that game.
Yeah, it has to be real fans of Dungeons and Dragons. We effectively had 3 people who were playing it. They had like all of us are dungeon masters. So at least we were all reasonably competent at the game. But even then, we probably hit maybe 50% of the questions.
Yeah. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying is like all the questions that we got were either super easy to answer, what does D&D stand for? Or like insanely hard. And it was
Yep.
just there's like no middle ground between the two.
Yeah, there didn't seem to be a lot of that. But I guess if you know the answer, it's going to be really easy. Like the blue questions about Dragonlance were all really easy for me. Yeah, that's how I view them. They were really easy questions, but for the vast majority of people who don't know that stuff, it's not going to be.
We skipped over every single one.
Exactly,
It's
because
just like
none of you have read the books.
not that I haven't read the books, it's just like I would skip over all the Eberron questions too.
Yeah, we didn't skip those. I have the Eberron book from third edition, and I just need to pick the damn thing up and read it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I never probably will. But is what it is. Uh, so one other thing that I got my first look at it this weekend was the Dark Souls tabletop game.
Huh.
Uh, Now, have you ever played Dark Souls, the video game?
No. Well, yes, I've played it. The game is terrible.
But at the least you are familiar with it. You probably know about as much about of it as I do. Uh,
I know that it has a fascinating amount of lore to it that
yeah,
people are still kind of combing through.
yeah. There's a ton of lore, and it is honestly it's a really cool setting. I personally just hated the gameplay. I made it. I think it was Dark Souls 3 that I played. Borrowed it from a friend. I played it for a few hours. I got to the first boss. I died to him 5 or 6 times, and then I'm like, well, I'm done with this game because
Yeah,
that that
I don't mind a challenging game, but the problem with Dark Souls is and I'm making a very vast generalization. So Dark Souls fans don't,
yeah.
execute me, but it feels like to me that playing Dark Souls is just a matter of um, dodging and dodging and dodging and dodging and dodging, then getting a big hit in, and then dodging and dodging and dodging and dodging,
Yeah.
and that is the most obnoxious style of play for me.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I had
I could
seen a lot of.
I could play God of War because it's just smash a button until you win. I get it. It's mindless fun and entertainment. But Dark Souls is like, no, you gotta pay attention. Or it's gonna kill you in one hit. Oh, and dodge again. Dodge roll. Dodge roll. Keep dodge rolling. No,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and I had heard that, and I had seen people playing it, and that's pretty much what it looked like, but I've also heard of people who played through it with sword and shield.
You
So,
can't because you
I
can't block any of the hits from the big monsters because they go right through your shield.
yeah, and maybe it's sword and shield against the little stuff, and then just dodge, 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 roll, roll, roll against the big monsters. I don't know, but the tabletop game actually looks kind of fun. Knowing very little about the setting, this will be kind of interesting for me because a lot of the stuff that's going to come up, I won't know anything about. And it seemed like a very sort of pared down system. So it's standard 5e rules, but your stats, you don't roll for stats. There's no point buy. It's you pick your quote unquote race. I don't know what they called it for that game. Yeah, so your origin, you pick from the brute, the fencer, the jack of all trades, or the caster. And depending on which one of those you pick will determine your hit dice, which they call position, but it's literally just fucking hit dice. Uh, it'll give you certain abilities that you get, and they actually do include bloodied in this. So, like the Jack of all trades, if bloodied effects during combat, when reduced to 50% of their starting position pool, a Jack of all trades gains the following benefits. You may add additional 2 to your wisdom and to their armor class. You gain advantage on all saves against magical attacks and effects, and you can remove any one negative condition of their choice.
Hmm.
It also tells you what your stats are. And the jack of all trades is literally that. You just kind of right across the board, you get a +1 to all of your stats. It's like 13, 13, 12, 12, 13, 12.
Yeah. But that's similar to how the game sets up. You kind of just pick what your role is.
Yeah, that's basically what you're doing here. And then you will also pick your class, which is it's pretty much the D&D class choices. I don't know if there was anything different or not. I'm not gonna look through them. Um, but then there was some really cool stuff about this that I did like when looking through it. I've definitely not read the whole thing, but when it comes to spells, you are not ever going to get many spells. Like the character I made is a cleric, and I start with 2 spells. That's it. I've got like a cure spell, and then I have some weird force knockback spell. Um, and all of the spells that you get, you have to either find them or buy them. And a lot of spells are going to be tied to your equipment. So whatever equipment you have on, it might give you an extra spell of a certain type. And
Okay.
that's it. Like you're just not going to be much of a spell caster in this game. And that's sort of the design of Dark Souls. Like even in the video game, you probably only had 4 or 5 spells.
I know this is the case with Elden Ring. I know it's not Dark Souls, but it's pretty much the same game.
Yeah, they're the same damn game. Just call it something different, but
There's a
it's the
lot.
same.
There's a lot of spells in Elden Ring now, which is very interesting to watch.
Okay. I don't know about your Elden Ring. I know it was open world more so than Dark Souls was. Uh,
J.R.R. Martin wrote it all. Blah.
oh, did he? I didn't even
Yeah.
know that. Wait, he actually finished writing something?
Well, he wrote lore, and then other people finished it.
Okay, okay. He talked to somebody and then they just wrote it all down. That's
Yeah.
probably what happened.
I
Because
mean,
he doesn't write anything anymore. He doesn't. Yeah, maybe his
I, I
autograph.
I'd take that job.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's worth a lot of money. The other thing that I really thought was awesome about this, I mentioned they call hit points position, but it actually lets you spend hit points to do things. And I don't have an example in front of me, unfortunately, but just as an idea, spend 2 hit points to stand back up from prone without using movement, something like that.
Okay.
Spend 2 hit points to deal 4 extra damage for a swing. I like the idea because I love resource management in general, and utilizing hit points as a resource, it does kind of fit the setting, and
Yeah.
I think it's a cool mechanic. It might not work so much for just basic like a D&D setting, hurting yourself to do other things, but in general, I kind of am behind the idea. I like other
Yeah.
resources.
We all
But
do.
yep. But anyway, that's all I got. You have anything else to talk about?
Um, this year is going to be very dull, I think, when it comes to the releases. I'm looking forward to the Bigby's Book of Giants, whatever it's called.
Sure,
But
yeah.
I just don't feel like there's going to be a lot of really fun. I think they've kind of but the two main campaign books that are coming out, one's a re-release and one's kind of like also a re-release.
Mhm.
You got the whatever the Dragon Queen one was. They're coming back out with that. They're kind of putting it in a new module
Yeah, like
with some
Rise of the Dragon
updates.
Queen, I think.
Yeah, which that's it's okay. I mean, it deserves to kind of get reprinted because it was supposed to be the first one, and
Well, I
Cobalt
was
Press isn't
yeah,
involved anymore.
I was talking to my buddy Mike because it's apparently been released twice already, and he has run it completely through, and
Yeah,
he said it's pretty much the worst module out of all of them. It's terrible.
yeah. A lot of
It,
people don't like it.
Yeah, and the fact and he explained the very beginning of it to me, and I'm absolutely on board with his thought process on it. In the very beginning, maybe they rewrite this garbage, hopefully, but you are first level characters, and you're being talked into fighting a blue dragon.
No, that's not changing.
Like that's
That's
just
not changing.
uh, no. I'm first level. I'm gonna go hide. you're
No,
not
go
gonna
fight the dragon.
You're
Go
not
fight
gonna
the dragon.
talk me into fighting a fucking
Go fight the dragon.
adult blue dragon as a first level character. And
Fight the dragon.
that's just very bad writing. Like that's just so poorly done.
Go fight the dragon.
I mean, you don't have a choice. That's pretty much the camp. Yeah, because it railroads you kind of into it.
Fight the dragon.
But yeah,
Um,
I'm not looking forward to that re-release. I didn't care about it the first two times it was
and
released.
then the Fandelver is getting re-released, which is the starter set dungeon. That's
Right.
getting rewritten, re-released, and updated. Oh, and Fandelver's fun to run through. It really is. It's short, it's contained, it's all there. There's some really nice dungeons, um, and you can kind of go crazy with what you're doing. So if they add more to it, I'm a fan for that. But I'm just kind of like
Yeah.
curious as to what they're gonna do.
Yeah, but it really shouldn't be. It shouldn't take up a release slot since they're releasing practically nothing over the course of the year anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure about all that. Like they should
I,
really be
I,
doing more.
yeah, I doubt they're going to do much more besides release modules going forward, since they're really just prepping for sixth edition at this point.
Yeah.
You know, why bother releasing more lore and more updates when you're just going to be restarting the whole thing again here in a year anyway?
Yeah, I know. Again, they're like, "Oh, everything's backwards compatible and all that stuff." I just don't feel like it's gonna be.
I actually found I found a thing that I picked up a long time ago with third edition, and it's actually a conversion uh companion piece where it you can convert from second edition to third edition. And I had forgotten this thing even existed. Uh, yeah, which is not exactly it's not the same thing as to what they're talking about because the rules aren't really changing that much. From what it looks like, they're not changing a ton from five to six,
Yeah,
which is probably smart. It allows people to still kind of use their modules and other stuff, uh, but the whole idea of converting from second to third, man, that sounds horrific. It's a very different system.
yeah. I don't know. I'm very hopeful that there's gonna be a lot of good changes in next year. I trust all the writers implicitly. I don't think they have. I don't think they have contracted a bad writer out there.
It's
Like
not the
even
writer. Yeah, the writers haven't been the issue.
yeah, like you look at Frostmaiden. Frostmaiden had like 20 different writers in it, and they put all that thing together. And like our biggest complaint was like you cut too much out. You should have just left everything that they said in there, just shoved it all in there and kept it and let it go.
Yeah.
It would have been great.
Yep. It was
But
great. Like Frost Maiden was. It's the only module I've ever run, and I ran it online, which I hated. But truthfully, the module isn't bad. Now that I have run it, if I ran it a second time, I would do it very, very differently from how I did the first time.
yeah,
And I would personally make it into a campaign. I would ignore a lot of what they said to do along the way, add in my own stuff, and still utilize a lot of the little, the little side quest and even the long term mission. But it would be my own campaign if I ever ran it a second time.
like also like just downloading and buying Dread of the Ice Devil and including that in your campaign.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Things like that is another option. Things like that, especially since Dread of the Ice Devil was really cool, and also fuck little ankle biter dwarves that stab you in the knee. You know.
Still mad about that.
Yep. Years later. Like 5e, I don't think there's going to be really anything this year that I care about at all. Uh,
Planescape book. I don't know why
I don't
this is
care.
why is
Don't care.
Planescape always like the last book they release for an edition? They should be honestly like the first one.
Yeah, but there's not going to be any goddamn lore. It's just going to be an entire book of a module with maybe a map of sigil and saying, "Oh, these doors lead to these other planes," of which you're going to get no lore on those planes from. So,
This is where I keep my churros.
Yeah. Uh, that being said, the Sky Raiders of Abraxas should be out sometime this year. I've been waiting on the Kickstarter for a while, and I am looking
Yeah, I've
forward to
been
that.
waiting for that for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still getting updates on it. They're busy people.
I just want that for the ship rules. That's the only reason I bought
Yeah,
that thing.
that's fair. I
Because
want it because of who put it together.
I want to run Final Fantasy the game.
That's a
Why don't
yeah,
they have a Final Fantasy like
they do.
tabletop? No, they don't.
I'm fairly sure they do.
Fairly sure they don't.
Fantasy tabletop RPG. Uh, let's see. Well, there is a yeah. It looks like there's just a bunch of homebrew ones.
Hmm.
Uh,
I don't think D&D. I don't think tabletop is big in Japan.
probably not. Yeah, it looks like there are some homebrew ones. There's like a Pathfinder one. Another one based on third edition, maybe. Yeah, interesting.
Yikes.
Either way, I'm not gonna play it.
Why
No,
not? It's Final Fantasy. It's amazing.
oh, if somebody ran it, I would.
Hmm.
I'd have a gun leg. That's a thing, right? Just a leg that's a gun.
No, that was a W.S. Anderson movie.
Oh, right, right. Uh,
What was that movie called? Now I can't remember.
oh, uh,
It's a great movie though. That's all I remember.
gun leg movie.
Gun
Planet
like chick movie.
Planet Terror. That was it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's right. There's Rose McGowan. I forgot about that.
It's a great movie.
Um, shit. What was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, but I'm excited because Pathfinder's going to continue to get updates. So there's that.
Path what now?
Pathfinder, the game that I'm going to be playing that you will not be. But
So I'm not a
uh,
sellout.
yep, me and Bruce, we're going to do just a one-off episode of me and him just talking Pathfinder. You can go fuck off or do your own thing or whatever. We'll record it and release it.
Good luck.
It's the grumpy Pathfinder masters.
Hey, Grumpy Game Masters because there's no dungeons in Pathfinder or
Yeah,
whatever.
I actually don't know what they call it in Pathfinder. I'd call it Dungeon Masters because I call like Vampire the Masquerade. You're the Dungeon Master. It's like Google, or
No,
fucking
you're the dungeon master.
or Band Aid. It's just a term that everyone uses.
No, you're the dungeon master. You.
Anyway, so yeah, I got nothing else. Welcome to 2023, everybody. I hope your year is excellent, and hopefully you get to play lots of tabletop games.
Eat lots of cheese.
And that, I mean, everybody loves cheese unless you're lactose intolerant. Then
No,
you probably love cheese. You just can't eat it.
then eat more cheese.
Yeah, and spend all of your time in the bathroom and not playing tabletop games. And that's where everybody stopped listening to us.
Bye, everybody. Bye,
Bye,
Craig.
guys. Bye, Craig.